When it comes to our health, unexpected medical expenses can hit us harder than a surprise diagnosis. From routine checkups to unforeseen emergencies, the cost of healthcare can quickly escalate into a financial nightmare. That's where an emergency fund becomes your knight in shining armor, ready to swoop in and save the day you fall ill. In this video, we'll dive into the importance of having an emergency fund specifically earmarked for those pesky medical expenses. So grab your cape and let's explore just how much you should have stashed away for those moments when your health takes an unexpected turn. What is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is like a financial safety net that you set aside for those unplanned expenses that life throws your way. It's your secret stash of cash, solely dedicated to providing peace of mind during unexpected situations, especially when it comes to medical expenses. Unlike other savings accounts or investments, an emergency fund is easily accessible and liquid. It acts as a buffer between you and financial disaster by covering sudden expenses such as doctor visits, hospital stays, surgeries, medications, or any other healthcare-related costs that may arise. Having an emergency fund specifically designated for medical expenses is crucial because healthcare bills can quickly pile up and catch you off guard. Even with insurance coverage, there may be deductibles, county pays, or treatments not covered by your policy. Plus, unforeseen circumstances like accidents or illnesses may require additional funds beyond what insurance provides. So how much should you have in your emergency fund? Well, the general rule of thumb suggests saving at least 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. But when it comes to medical emergencies specifically, which tend to be costly, it's wise to aim for the higher end of this range. Remember, every individual situation is unique. Factors such as age, health conditions, family history play a role in determining the appropriate size for your emergency fund relating to medical expenses. Stay tuned. In the next section, we'll delve into what steps you can take if building an emergency fund seems financially out of reach right now. How much should you have in your emergency fund? How much should you have in your emergency fund? This is a common question that many people ask when they are trying to build their financial safety net. While there is no one-size-fits-all answer, it's important to consider your individual circumstances and expenses. One general rule of thumb is to aim for 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses in your emergency fund. This can provide a cushion in case of unexpected medical expenses or other emergencies. However, the actual amount may vary depending on factors such as income stability, family size, and health conditions. To determine the appropriate size for your emergency fund, start by evaluating your monthly expenses. Take into account fixed costs like rent or mortgage payments, utilities, insurance premiums, and transportation expenses. Don't forget about variable costs such as groceries and healthcare. Consider any specific risks or vulnerabilities you may have regarding medical needs. For example, if you have a chronic illness or dependents with significant healthcare needs, it's wise to set aside additional funds. It's also essential to regularly reassess and adjust the size of your emergency fund as circumstances change over time. A promotion at work or an increase in monthly bills might warrant increasing the amount saved. Remember that building an emergency fund takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Start by setting small savings goals each month until you reach your target amount for peace of mind during medical emergencies, whether big or small. What if you can't afford an emergency fund? What if you can't afford an emergency fund? It's a valid concern that many people face. Life is unpredictable, and unexpected medical expenses can arise at any time. But just because you may not have the means to build up a substantial emergency fund doesn't mean you're out of options. One approach is to start small. Even saving a few dollars each week can add up over time and provide some cushion in case of medical emergencies. Look for areas where you can cut back on unnecessary expenses or find ways to increase your income, even if it's through part-time work or side gigs. Another option is to explore financial assistance programs or resources available in your community. Many hospitals offer payment plans or discounts for low-income individuals who are unable to pay their medical bills up front. Additionally, consider reaching out to charitable organizations or nonprofits that specialize in providing financial support for healthcare-related expenses. These organizations often have specific programs designed to help those who are struggling with medical costs. It's important not to overlook the power of insurance as well. While premiums can be expensive, having health insurance coverage can provide significant relief when faced with unexpected medical bills. Take the time to research different insurance options and find one that fits your budget and needs. Remember that while an emergency fund is ideal, it's not the only solution when it comes to covering medical expenses. By being resourceful and proactive in seeking alternative avenues for financial assistance, you'll be better prepared should an unforeseen situation occur. How to use your emergency fund. So, you've diligently built up your emergency fund for those unexpected medical expenses. Now what? It's important to know how to use your emergency fund wisely and effectively. 1. Assess the situation. When faced with a medical emergency or unexpected healthcare costs, take a moment to assess the situation. Determine the severity of the issue and whether it truly requires dipping into your emergency fund. 2. Prioritize essential expenses. If you do need to use your emergency fund, prioritize essential expenses like medical bills, prescriptions, or necessary treatments. This ensures that your health remains a top priority and helps prevent any further complications. 3. Negotiate and shop around. Before paying any medical bills or fees, consider negotiating with healthcare providers or shopping around for more affordable options. Often, hospitals are willing to work out payment plans or offer discounts if you communicate openly about your financial situation. 4. Use only what you need. Remember that an emergency fund is meant for emergencies only, not for impulsive purchases or unnecessary splurges. Be disciplined in using only what is absolutely necessary from your fund. 5. Replenish your fund. Once you've utilized some of your emergency savings for medical expenses, make it a priority to replenish the amount as soon as possible. Set up automatic transfers from each paycheck until you have restored the balance back to its original level. Remember that an emergency fund should be used sparingly and primarily for unforeseen medical situations. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that your hard-earned funds are put towards their intended purpose, protecting yourself against unexpected healthcare costs, while also maintaining long-term financial stability during challenging times. Conclusion. Having an emergency fund is essential for everyone, especially when it comes to medical expenses. Medical emergencies can arise unexpectedly, and having a financial safety net in place can provide peace of mind during these stressful times. So, how much should you have in your emergency fund specifically for medical expenses? While there is no one-size-fits-all answer, experts generally recommend aiming for at least 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. This should cover not only potential medical bills but also other unexpected costs that may arise. However, if you find it challenging to save up enough money for an emergency fund right away, don't despair. Start small and gradually build up your savings over time. Even setting aside a little bit each month can make a difference in the long run. Remember that an emergency fund is meant to be used solely for emergencies. It's important not to dip into this fund unless necessary. Prioritize saving specifically for healthcare-related emergencies so that you're prepared when they occur. When faced with a medical expense, assess the situation carefully before using your emergency funds. If possible, explore alternative options such as negotiating payment plans or seeking financial assistance from charitable organizations or government programs first. Having an adequate emergency fund dedicated to covering medical expenses is crucial for anyone's financial well-being. By prioritizing saving and being prepared, you can navigate through unforeseen healthcare costs without taking on unnecessary debt or stress. Start building your emergency fund today, because being proactive about your finances will benefit both your present and future self.